he just how he wrote, like he just put all of his ideas. He like say he'd get a melody in his head, um, and he'd just write that down. He'd write the notes down to where it was in a diary or however it was, um, and then he just kept moving on and getting loads of ideas. And then when it came to him actually sitting down on Cubase, he just put all these ideas that he'd got from that day or from his diary, and and then he just put them in and he played them in. And even if it didn't work, still he had so many other ideas of how we could either develop that piece or how we could make a new piece, which I found really really interesting actually. Here's some of Hans Zimmer's just his kind of some of his film music. As I said, he's done a lot of stuff for the Lion King as well. So that which I incorporated and I listened to a lot of. Even though it's not Edwardian style film music, it's and it's not an Edwardian film. It's really interesting to see what he did, and how he wrote for that style film, and then how he wrote for other films as well. So yeah. So moving on to my actual piece now. So the piece is in A melodic minor. I chose this as I thought it was comfortable for me to write in. I know he wrote a few in that as well, a few pieces in A minor. So yeah, I thought just let's stick with A minor. It's comfortable for me. So yeah, so I moved on from that, and after I got my first up to section B, once I'd got there, I thought I've got this next melody idea, and I played it down, and I was bearing in mind I was still in 4/4, and I just could not get it at all. I couldn't get the way they were playing. I just couldn't get the way. It just wasn't in time. I couldn't get it in time, and it was getting really frustrating. So I looked at all the problems where it could be, and it was because the melody that I was playing didn't fit in time with four. It wasn't a 4/4 melody. It was 6/8. So going from so what I did is I changed the tempo at section B. I changed the tempo and played it in 6/8. Changed the tempo, changed the time signature, sorry, and played it in 6/8, and I'd resolve my problem. And I didn't really want to change the time signature as I thought it might be difficult. But once I actually got to it, it actually transitioned really really nicely into this B section and into the 6/8 section, as I'll show you now. Also, from going from the 6/8 section back into 4/4, it really really developed nicely. It really transitioned smoothly, and I was really proud of that, and really happy with how it was, because I thought, well, how am I going to transition back into 4/4? But what I did is I thought if I'm transitioning from the A section into the B section and it transitions smoothly, then maybe I can transition back into the A section as it was already worked smooth. So once I'd got from the A1 section, because I developed it only slightly, but I developed it. We moved on to the C section, and this is literally using here a lot of crescendos, diminuendos, and this literally creates the mood, it creates the tension of the piece. So that's a key part in film music. But even if it's not in the whole of film music, in this style of music that I've written and in this piece, if I didn't have the crescendos or any automation whatsoever, it would have literally wouldn't have given any creative mood to the piece. It would have just been boring. So having this automation and having crescendos and diminuendos in this is literally what has created the tension, and it's literally created the climax, to make it literally to make the listeners feel on edge or feel, oh, what's happening here? Oh, okay, not here. We're gonna go again. And then so it literally it creates them, gets them on the edge of the seat basically. So with the melody, we're gonna go back to the melody. I've written it, and it was in stepwise manner. So it was conjunct originally, but and then I didn't want it to just be conjunct. I thought it's gonna be too basic. So I thought let's develop it. Let's add some harmony, but it was still too basic for me. So what I did is I put some disjunct melody in there as well. So I made it conjunct and disjunct. So it was so there was some leaps, but it also came like for example, we'll go up in a stepwise manner, but we'll leap coming down, or we'll leap going up, and then we come back down in a stepwise manner. And I thought once I did that and I added some leaps in there, it really took the piece away, and it really made that melody line the best it could be. Also with the melody, having I didn't have it. I had it on one instrument, but I didn't have it on the instrument throughout. So what I did is I alternated it between different instruments for the throughout the whole piece. So it wasn't basic, and it wasn't boring, and it just led it just helped take the piece away. Because if I was originally just going to have it on a cello or a violin throughout the whole piece, but yeah, it just was boring. It didn't add any like. I wanted it to switch between each instrument, so so each instrument and part of the a part of the piece had to go at that leading role and taking lead and ownership of the piece. Also with the instruments, I decided to go for all type of instruments, except in the string section, because I thought I can have some bass in there, which will create suspense. I'll have some pedal notes, sustained chords, sustained notes in there, but I'll also have some high notes in there. So when we've reached the climax, then we'll have some like really high instruments in there, which will just help us a little bit, so it's not all bass and all low notes. I also as well with the instruments, I also I doubled up on most of them, and that's either by doing different octaves, so they both weren't playing the same thing. I either did the octaves, did it in different octaves, or I did them harmonising with each other. And then I panned them, because it just added a bit of the depth. So if you had one octave in the left ear, one octave in the right ear, it just sounded nice, so everything wasn't centralised. So yeah, I also, in going back to quickly in section in the 6/8 part, it has a kind of folk as well, a folk feel to it, which is good, because it kind of going away from Edwardian a bit and bringing kind of a folk Celtic vibe into it. So yeah, that was just another inspiration I kind of went towards as well, but not fully. As I said again, a lot of orchestral feel, a lot of flute, woodwind feel, vibes, and I just think it fits this genre really well. Just because if I chose brass, for example, it just wouldn't go. As I said before, it wouldn't sound right. So I think I picked the best instrument family here. With the drums, they're not too complicated. They're just hi-hats and toms. I tried to use timpanis, but it just didn't work. And I tried to use more other percussion instruments, but it just didn't work as well as some toms and hi-hat. But the toms, they are layered up. So as you can tell, it's not just one tom. There's several toms being played at the same time, and obviously it wouldn't be capable in real life, but for this I've layered them up, so it just gives it more depth and gives the toms more of a deeper feel. There's also a lot of clashing notes in this piece, which can cause some dissonance, some crunchiness, but only ever so slightly. It also causes some diminished chords when when you've played it, and it causes like diminished sevenths and so on. Coming towards the end, we have a stab. From F, section E, F, this is where it's the biggest climax going in the piece. It's leading you, it's saying this is it, this is coming towards the end now. And this stab towards the end creates a different feel to the other crescendos and that in the piece. This stab is telling you we are nearly towards the end. This is it. It's now or never. And it just shows that the piece of music has taken a turn, and it gives an unknown feeling, that anything can happen at any time. It foreshadows that this is it, and this something. It's either now or never. It foreshadows that something is going to be coming to an end, or it'll be left unknown. So this is what this section shows.